So, hi everyone. Today I am here to talk about American Diversity Association's digital landscape overhaul with Drupal 10 and multi-site architecture. But before we dive into that, first I will talk about myself. I am Hemant Gupta, working as a technical architect at QD42, and I am passionate about technology and innovation for quite some time. I have over 9 years of experience, and I am an active contributor and a lead at leading the open source contributions as well at QD42. Now let's talk about our client. So American Diabetes Association is one of the biggest organizations in America which is focused on basically helping people who have diabetes, and their vision and mission is to prevent the diabetes ever happening in the wider community at the global scale. They have thousands of volunteers with them, and they basically try to prevent and cure diabetes. They have lots of resources, and it has been our honor to basically partner with them to support them in this great mission which they have. Now our connection or our integration, our engagement with them is best described by our client itself, Matt, who has said like they had 3 critical websites: diabetes.org, professional.diabetes.org, and diabetesfoodhub.org, which were on different tech stacks, and they wanted them all to come together on a single platform so that the users or visitors of the site can have a seamless experience. So let's talk about some key challenges. So like I mentioned, sites were fragmented across different tech stacks. Diabetes.org was on Drupal 9, the professional.diabetes.org was on Drupal 7, and the Diabetes Food Hub was on some custom legacy CMS. Then there was, since each site was using different technology, they each have different design language and different design inconsistencies were there. There was lack of cohesive user experience. The content authors were having hard time for updating their sites. Like some were in Drupal, so they were having easier time, but for some of them they were having very hard time to integrate with them. And each site also had some unique set of features, and there was no consistency for them. So that's where we came in. We started with a planning and design phase for them. So our approach was simple, like review all the sites, come up with a implementation plan, develop everything into Drupal 10, then migrate and consolidate data into the new websites which we create for them, then apply proper theming and consistent design language, then test everything to ensure that everything is working correctly, and then deliver the platform and launch the sites. So first we started with the unifying the design system. ADA hired his own design team, and we collaborated with them to basically define what should the new design system will look like, what would be the design language of the platform and the brand. Then we basically created new designs which we can see. After those designs, we started with taking few key architectural decisions. So now we will talk about them. So first decision we made was to select Drupal as a platform for delivering these new websites. So since they were already familiar with Drupal, so it was easy buy-in for them to basically go ahead with Drupal itself to basically have this whole platform. And then we selected multi-site as a concept to go further with that. This allowed to have a single code base, and we had a multiple database setup. This reduced the maintenance efforts for them. It also introduced the faster development cycle, and it reduced the costs with shared infrastructure as well. Now once we have decided the multi-site architecture will be the main focus point, after that we decided like we will be hosting on Acquia Cloud Next. So Acquia is one of the big hosting providers for Drupal, and we could have gone for Acquia Cloud or Acquia Cloud Site Factory. So but when we thought like if we go with Acquia Cloud, it won't scale well because we will have multiple sites running on a single shared infrastructure. That means the production traffic can impact the performance of each and every site if something goes wrong. And Acquia Cloud Site Factory, even though it supports multi-sites, but there were only 3 sites at that time, and it did not make sense to go for the Acquia Cloud Site Factory. That's where the Acquia Cloud Next fits the bill correctly, because it's a Docker based system which automatically scales as the more traffic comes onto the site. It includes Memcache, cron, SSH, and all those important stuff which helps with building out the sites easily. After that we set up the multi-site on Acquia Cloud. The setup was simple. Basically for DDev we use for local development. We added the databases, then we added the connection in the setting.php file, then we added the domains for each of the sites in the sites.php, then we included individual Drush aliases, And we also got a bonus of shared SSL certificates to be installed on the server, which also helps in reducing the costs. After that, the next strategy we needed to decide was what would be the config management strategy for this big platform which we are delivering from them. So since each site will not need to have its own database and its own set of features, we decided it should be installation from scratch. So we used existing configuration based installation setup, where we can just simply run ddef drush sis -- existing config to install a new site from fresh with fresh new features. Then we added config ignore module so that users can configure their own things as they want. For example, we added web forms and feeds for config ignore so that they can just add their own web forms whenever they want without any developer intervention. Then we added config split because different sites are going to need different features, and config split is the best way to basically categorize different sites. And we created the feature based splits as well, so that if a site wants multilingual features, for example, we can just enable it on one site only and not enable on every site. Then we added config overrides concept of Drupal and use secret settings files on server to basically store the API keys for security purposes. Then after that came the next part, to automate the deployment setup itself. So we use the GitHub Actions to basically run the code check so that code quality is up to the mark, like PHP CS, PHP Stan. Then we integrated with Acquia pipeline so that it can do the build artifact and deploy the artifacts. Then we merged with Acquia Cloud hooks so that we can automatically, after the deployment has happened, the post deployment task can run like drush updb and config imports. And then we also integrated with Slack itself so that our team can get notified whenever something is deploying and take further actions on top of that if something goes wrong. Then let's talk about the features. So once we have decided the architecture and the approach we were going to take with Drupal Multisite, then we needed to decide like how we will deliver the key features. So some of the key requirements were like having a dynamic page building experience, third-party integration through Nimble platform, the configurable data import system for various sources like CSV, JSON, etc., content moderation and workflow features, site-wide search, which we powered by Apache Solr, the enhanced media management features, and on-demand form creation using web forms. And now look at the design system and component-driven architecture, which is the base for this whole dynamic page building experience we delivered for them. So it was something like we defined everything as a component, where we followed the best practices of having atoms, molecules, cards, components. This is a similar concept which is coming in Drupal core now, which is like SDC based development, and XB is building on top of it as well. Then once we have the design system ready, we integrate that with Storybook so that site owners can easily basically verify the components without even Drupal integration itself to see what kind of behavior is there of that component. Then we integrated those components with Drupal using UI pattern modules ecosystem, and then we delivered over 40 components for them to use and build out their site as they need. Here are some few examples where there is a banner component in Storybook, and it can be easily controlled with setting form to change from one variation to another. And we can see the same component has been used in the site as a banner in different sites, and that banner looks way different in each site, and we have a setting form in Drupal to easily configure it to be changed as they want. Now apart from top of this, we integrated with layout builder, and we gave them this dynamic page building experience, which kind of allow them to basically select their sections and then add the blocks on top of it, whichever the component blocks they want. All of this tied together by the UI patterns module ecosystem, where each component from our front end side was coming in and then was feeding into various Drupal modules ecosystem, so that we can integrate any component with views, layout, manage display, or content types, and so on. This all was well and good for static components, but what about views, listings? Listings also needs to be added onto the page, and those pages needs to be dynamic as well. So that's where we added the view listing as components as well, where the views reference and views reference filter module helped us a lot. We added the view Ajax history to basically update the path of the page, so that whenever a listing has been embedded, it does not feel like it's not a proper page listing, so that proper path updates can happen. And we also added some custom plugins to add some customizations. So here is an example of the same. So here is a configuration form where we have events created out of it, and we have enabled the user has the option to enable the filters, and the same listing can also change dramatically when they disable the filters. And we will notice like we are also changing the event settings in here for both the options, as they want to give them the flexibility how they want to control it. Then we added also lots of dynamic data import and export features in this system, so that they can import their data into these components from wherever they want. So for that we basically exported the old data from the CSV format. Then we enabled the feeds module and give control to the end user itself, basically the ADA team itself, to basically create their feeds as they want. They can just go into the content types, map their feeds with the CSV files to basically import the content and then do modifications on top of that. Then we added custom feeds plugin for more complex imports like podcasts, and we basically imported the content from various third-party sources as well to create dynamic listings, which is like ERP listing, for example. So let's have a look at as an ERP listing example here. So this ERP listing example, it's a diabetes education program where the users can come and search for in their states like which diabetes education programs are available. They can basically add a state filter to basically search for the listings, and they will get all the results. The data has been geocoded when it is being stored in Drupal, and also been extended with the custom proximity filters as well. They can also basically add the zip code as well and use the miles filter to basically control in how much area they want to search for the results. Once that import has happened and listing has been automatically created, they also wanted to basically export this listing to as a source for other of their sites as well. So we added a REST export of it using the REST exports and Drupal views module, and that same listing was included as a REST JSON response, and that JSON response was consumed in another site which was like donation.diabetes.org, which is outside of this platform, and using a decoupled feature they created a listing out of it to basically allow users to easily search through the site. Now let's talk about third-party authentication features. So we integrated with Nimble. So Nimble is the basically association management software for Salesforce. They are using that to basically track the memberships of their site and to log in onto the Dipro site. They are also using OAuth2 protocol here, and authentication has been implemented using OpenID Connect module in Drupal, and we wrote a custom plugin to integrate that. Here is a quick demo of how this integration looks like. So user just comes to the site, they click on the sign in button, then they are redirected to a login page, which is another platform which is developed by Salesforce. And once they authenticate themselves there, they come back to the site and are authenticated into Drupal as well, like we see there. And from there they can go to click on view my profile and then go to another platform and just configure their profile as they want. Then they can come back to the site again and log out from the site here. And if they try to sign in again, since their session is already maintained on the old site, they will be logged into the site again. They don't need to do another login into the same platform again. Then apart from that, they had multilingual support as well, since they were having the Spanish languages on their site as well. So to support that, we added the Spanish language into the platform. We added the config and content translations. We made sure like all the content and configurations are translatable. Then we enabled the translation for layout builder using the layout builder symmetry translations module. And then we also integrated with TMGMT module because there was so much content they have. So they wanted an automated way to translate their content. So that's where we integrated with TMGMT module with automated translations and used Google Provider to help them quickly spin up the new pages. Then in all of these things, we had some performance considerations as well. So we first look at the image management things. So we use the responsive image styles to take care of different breakpoints. We added the cropping features to basically use image widget crop and automatic crop modules. We added the lazy loading of the images, and we utilize the WebP format for make sure like image sizes are reduced so that we won't have any loading problems. Then we followed up caching best practices by using the page and dynamic page cache module. We added the proper cacheability metadata in the custom code. We also added memcache to handle the authentication traffic support, and we integrated with Acquia Varnish with the purge module to basically support the offload anonymous traffic as well. Then for the assets for CSS and JavaScript, we integrated with the component. Since we were already using component driven architecture, so asset libraries are attached with the components, and CSS and JS aggregation was added there to basically make sure asset size is reduced. And we also added prefetching, preloading, deferring and async wherever applicable to make sure like assets loads correctly at right time without any performance hiccups. Now all is well and good, and these all features were delivered for the whole platform, and Deorg and Depro are live. Then came in the Diabetes Food Hub, which has a stack of whole new features and challenges. So Diabetes Food Hub is one of the key brands which ADA is maintaining, where it includes a huge database of ingredients and recipes, and they want to help users to basically check those recipes to build their meal planners, so that they can basically search for their grocery lists, so that they can plan their diets better. This was migrated into the Drupal with these many big numbers, where they had 2k plus recipes, 1k plus ingredients, 260k plus users, 560k plus meal plans, and 2 million plus saved recipes. So this was a whole authenticated traffic system which we had to integrate into the new site. So let's have a look at how this new platform looks like. So this is the Food Hub demo, and this is the home page of the site. Everything we see here is built on top of components. All the listings are powered by Solar Search, and they have the whole control of adding whichever listing they want first and last. Now the next key feature they have is the recipes page, where user can come to the recipes and they can just search for the recipes as they want. And in this recipes filter, they can have various dynamic filters to search for recipes. Then these are the recipe detail pages, which gives them a clean UI, a clean information of what all our recipe contributes of. Then they can go to the related recipes section and search for whole recipes as they want. They can save the recipes into their system. They can jump to the whole recipe description as well, and they can print the preview of the recipe as well for their use. Now next, user can go to the My Recipes page to see the list of their recipes which they have saved, and from there they can basically see which recipes they have. They can remove any recipes they want. The next feature is the planning their meals. Here they get a nice drag and drop option, but before that they can configure the nutrient goals, and they can set like how much calories, total fat, carbs they want to consume in their diet. And on the basis of that configuration, they can easily go back. After setting those parameters up, they can go back to the meal planner page and just simply drag and drop the recipes which they have saved earlier and plan their meal plans as they want to basically confirm their dietary needs. And this whole meal planning section has been implemented in Drupal itself with core sortable JS and custom code. There is no any decoupled implementation has been done here. They can save their meal plans as well, and once they save their meal plans, they can just check them at the top of the page, so that they can easily just preview any previous meal plan they have saved, and they can easily reuse that meal plan if they want. Apart from that, we also provide the printing features of the meal plan, where they can just send any information they want. They can click on the get PDF button and it will email them a PDF of that. Then they can click on the grocery list. So whatever the ingredients has been selected here, once they click on that button, they will go to a grocery list filter page, which will have the list of all the ingredients from all the recipes across added onto the page. The user can then just add any data into this listing as they want. They can modify anything. They can change the quantity of that ingredient. They can remove any recipe as well if they don't want it, and that would also remove all the ingredients attached to that recipe. They can also keep track of what all ingredients they have already bought in the site itself, and then they can change the measuring unit as well if they want. and same they can email them the ingredient list as well if they want it. Now these email features are not just for the users but are for dietitians as well. So this platform is being used by dietitians and they recommend this diet plans to their customers to basically serve them better, like what kind of nutrition needs they want and can serve them. Now before we jump to the outcomes, one thing I would like to share is like since this was an authenticated traffic website, this included a huge effort of basically making sure like migration was seamless. So what we did was we migrated the first batch of whole content into the Drupal. Then we basically stopped authentication on the old platform for a couple of days, and then we basically migrated the remaining latest content. After that we made the switch to go live, and this was seamless transfer to the new platform. Now from the words of our client itself, like what it resulted in a improved efficient platform where they can easily roll out the new features as and when they want. They had a unified design, a shared design system which made platform more engaging for the users. They achieved a huge scalability as well. So initial plan was just to launch the 3 websites, but new requirements came in between the development of those 3 websites itself, and they launched Obesity Association and Clinical Update Conference in itself onto that same multi-site platform. This also gives them increased agility where they had more 40% requests coming in on the platform and 350 to 400 individual web requests each second, which the platform was able to handle. Now here are some final thoughts. How our collaboration with AD has basically take their platform to the next level and how we are helping their mission to basically succeed into the future. So yeah, that's it. Any Q&A? Any questions? Yes, please.
I might have missed this one. Site editors enter a recipe. How do you get them to enter just like a metric?
So can you come forward?
When site editors enter the information for the recipe, like how do you get them to enter only using metric, like one kilogram?
So we are using first thing we are using a database of measuring units. So we have the taxonomies basically, and the taxonomies we are storing the rules as we have a field for conversion rules. So basically we are storing the conversion rules for each metric of unit, each measurement unit, so that they can freely define what each measuring unit it will convert to another measuring unit. Then when we are adding the recipes, we are storing the ingredients with them, and in the ingredients we are storing via paragraphs. And when we are storing the ingredients, we are mapping it with the measuring unit as well for each ingredient, how much measuring unit that takes in. So from there, since we already had the conversion rules, right, and we had now the ingredients and measuring units are there, the recipes are there, so we have all the data together. Then we are running our own code logic to basically convert them to the various conversion things we saw in the screen. Yes, please. So this is like a whole 1.5-year journey we had, but it has like various phases. So we initially started with first the unifying design system and the component driven architecture. Then we started with the development of DPro site. So it's a funny story, like we started with the approach of taking DPro first live, but management has some more plans, so they wanted to go with the DORG first instead of DPro. And since we were going from the start for the multi-site architecture project, so we were easily able to switch from DPro to DORG to deliver that first, and then we delivered the DPro. So both of them we delivered together. Then they took some months to basically stabilize those DORG and DPro platforms. After that, we started with the Food Hub collaboration this year itself. And Food Hub the development for Food Hub was around 3 to 4 months, I would say. Yeah, I mean, whole platform is complex one, but yeah, I have focused on the last part a bit more. Thank you. Any more? Yes.
For a shared code base, do you have any request for a shared code base? Do you have requests for like the change only limited to a single site? And if yes, how do you handle that part?
Yeah.
Let's say for in terms of design, they want to have some banner for this only this particular for some particular period on a single site. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so I think I just quickly go over that part, but there is like multiple layered approach here. So first thing is our theme is highly configurable. so that the primary colors are changeable across each site. That's the first part of it. Second part is our components are having the configuration in itself, so that they can have various variations of a component as well. Now, let's say if there is a same component or banner component, right, which can have a two set of options, two set of fields on one side, but not need a third or fourth set of field on another side for XYZ reason, then that's where the config split module comes in, where we basically split the configs, and we are using the latest version of config split module, which generates the config patches. So not the actual config split file, but it generates the config patches, where it just includes the changes, but which is different between two config files, and that's how we basically manage the differences between each site. Yeah.
How did you implement the structured data? Which module did you use?
For which one?
The structured data, like for Google,
So
recipe schema.
so
Which module did you use?
so we you mean the JSON LD part, right? So yeah, so we utilize the schema meta tag modules for that, to basically map the recipes data into the meta tags. We wrote our custom code as well to basically convert few fields data to the tokens, so that we can properly map them to the meta tag schema tag modules, so that the data comes well enough for the Google to understand and enhance the SEO experience of the site. Anyone else? We have time if anyone wants to learn anything more. Okay, so yeah, so I would like to thank you everyone for joining today, and I would like to thank my team as well, who worked hard on this project, and yeah, hopefully it has been a wonderful learning for everyone. Thank you.